What's up, everyone? This is Herschel from High School Top 200, and this is the Top 200 podcast, supposed to be the Monday morning meeting. I done one and then lost it. I don't know where it went. I don't know where I saved it to or where I was supposed to be saving it to. It didn't go to the usual place, and so I had to make another one. And so, this is it on a Tuesday night, trying to get through everything. And I had some dimes on the first one too. And I just wanted to make sure that I get this done and that I keep consistent, trying to keep up with the consistency of doing this podcast. And so that more boys can get talked about and more teams can be supported, and just trying to validate everybody's efforts and sacrifices that they give up. Every season, and it is every season that people have to sacrifice stuff, from coaches to the volunteers and parents, and the boys at South putting out their sacrifice. So I wanted to keep this as consistent as possible, and I know that on a Tuesday night it's not very consistent, if you're going to call it Monday morning meeting, and then you're doing it on a Tuesday night for the second time again. First time was legit. This one I just don't know where it is. I was trying to look for it and I couldn't find the file, and I couldn't find where I put it, and I'd like to blame my daughters, but it had nothing to do with them. So if we get into it, I obviously I wanted to talk about the few games that I went to last weekend, starting with the Hamilton and St. Paul's. And the Hamilton boys high game, still missing a few players, like Taha, and also with Collegiate they were missing Travis Cashmore and also Malachi Rampling. So that's not a surprise. I think even if they had full teams, I still think Hamilton boys will win, but I think it would be a lot more closer than that 32-13. Even that 32-13 wasn't really, should have been more of like maybe a 15-25 game. I don't think there's that big of a gap between it. But Hamilton boys is always the kind of team, and I've said this before, is that because they don't have that many preseason games ever. They don't usually play a lot of preseason games, maybe one or two. And so to me, they are slow starters. And like if I was Palmy boys right now, I would want to play them now, because then I think that Palmy boys right now could probably beat Hamilton boys. But they have them on Saturday. They have Hastings on Saturday, which I still think I'm going to pick Palmy boys to win that one over Hastings as an earlier game. And so for me, because Palmy showed such a big 57 points against Wellington College. Now I know, and I've said this so many times about Wellington College, and I still haven't really found a real credible or legitimate answer of why college or Wellington College rugby has gone down so much. But 57 points to nil is still something that they shouldn't put on a big boys' college, especially one like Wellington. That's just way too many points. I think that's just way too many points. So like, and you could say Palmy is just that good, which they are, but Wellington just needs to step it up in some way. And just judging by that score alone, to me, I wouldn't place them in the top four of the Wellington competition right now. And usually there's only four good teams in the Wellington competition. There's four good teams and then one on the side who's going to upset one of those four teams. And so to me down there, it's going to be Town and Silverstream, who play tomorrow, and what I think should be a televised game every single year. That should be one. Those two are going to be the top, and I don't know who's actually the better team out of the both of them. I know they've already played a preseason, and then Silverstream won that one, but then Because they play tomorrow, I don't know who's going to win. I think Town just got a big ego boost, and so they might have that one. But those two will definitely be a part of it. Scots has slipped, but I still think that they're going to be one of the better ones. And Rongotai probably is the third better team. Probably the third best team, and Scots fourth, and then Wellington College the fifth. But then still, you can't really count out you know Tower College, who's doing pretty good right now. Because they are now a part of it. Tower College is now a part of that top transit coach line competition, and then Whited Up is also looking pretty good. St. Bernard's is the other one that I'd be careful of, and I kind of have this feeling that St. Bernard's is probably going to be the fifth team, and I have a feeling they might beat Wellington College this year. Wellington College might even lose out to Tower as well as Whited Upper and get run close to by Awatere and Mana College. And Wellington College play Mana College this weekend, which should be a runaway, but I just want to see first. Mana's like new into this. Mana College is new into this, and so I don't know how they're going to adapt to that level that they're going to be playing at now. But I still think I don't know, they might have some I know that they have some players, and I know that they have some guys that can do the work, because obviously they made that grade. But I mean, if I was Wellington right now, I would play my best game right now, and then try and win it without don't take these guys too lightly, anything like that. Just because you're Wellington College, but I mean that's just my attitude towards it anyway. But Wellington College has got to do something. 57 points against Palmy is just too much. The Hastings, like I said before, the Hastings and St. Pat's Town game. I got some of it. I watched some of that game, not all of it. But I wish I could watch all of it. And yeah, St. Pat's Town is really pushing them. And we got to remember that Hastings boys has got returning players back, but two of those players. They've got some missing players in there that are really crucial to how they wanted to run that team, and I think from watching them, sort of the past few years, I kind of get it. I kind of get the idea of how they like to play and sort of how they want to speed up the plays, make those rucks a lot more quicker. Always sort of running in formation so that they don't have to sort of get into formation, kind of thing. And because they have Cooper Flanders running at 8, and they wanted Damon. To run at 7, and he was going to be captain this year, and then he's out for the season. And then Donovan Godinay was the other one who they wanted at 6, but Kaiho is actually playing really good as well. Pasikala, who's come over from Whitehall College, and so they do have some fill-ins, but still missing Donovan and Damon is a massive hole that they kind of have to fill and move guys around and things like that. And so I think it's kind of like a blessing that they got Josh Spree in there. I think that's how they say his last name. He's from Whangarei Boys, and he went down to Hastings this year. and really tall, big white lock who's just real strong, real active, real athletic, but then really fits the style. And I kind of understand why he knew, because he fits that style of play down in Hastings, and he has made them better, and he has secured that line out option as well. I think, which they might have been, I think, searching for this year. Um, yeah, and so it's like a big blessing, I guess, for them that they had Josh go down and Kaiho come over from Whitehall College as well. And so, um, but like, I still think that with how Palmy Boys is playing right now, I have a feeling that they're going to beat Hastings this weekend, and they'll move up into the top five in the country, if they can do that, if they can beat them. Um, the King's High School one's not a surprise. Where they when they beat John McGlashan, and that's fine, and it's cool because I saw that like they're going to be playing on Tuesday night next week on TV against Southland Boys, which is cool. Like, I really love that we get to see King's High School play, and that everybody gets to see how good they are. And this is not a pressure thing for you boys, so please don't take this as a pressure thing. But I know that a lot of North Island teams are going to be looking and see what I've been saying about you guys, and then they're going to be judging it from that. And I guess for Kings have just got to do what they do every single game that they've played, and just come out and just play your roles and play your game plan, listen to your coaches, and then just get the business done. And then Southland, I guess it's an opportunity for Southland to sort of come out and sort of spoil the party kind of thing, and not let. And I'm saying not let Kings dominate this year, because that's what Kings are doing right now. They've already beaten Otago, and they already beat John McGlashan, and that's kind of the two of the other four horsemen that are in the deep south. And so if Kings take out Southland Boys, like I think they will, then they're king of the south right now. And you kind of have to give them their props on that, and then Southland just have to be that team that has to just try, I guess, put a full stop to their progression in that. And I mean, like, Southland Boys have still got a lot of good players down there, and they drew with Otago just on Saturday, and so they're going to be up for, they're going to be sort of more fine tuned and more ready for that kind of battle against Kings High School. I mean, I think the front row is pretty good for Southland Boys, that they can match up with like Mahonri and Steve and oh man, I'm spacing out on. He's like one of the better props in the country too, but Levi Gage, like, and Liam, and like those kind of guys. They are there in that front row for Southland, and they should be able to handle that. They should be able to handle that pressure from Mohonrai and Steve and Rohan. Sorry, bro, Rohan Wingham, who's the captain there, and then Fatai Koloi, I think his name is. He should be the hooker there, and Kings have got a lot of guys on that team that have been playing for 2 years already. I mean, Keanu, who I knew of, Vanisi, who I knew of when he was year 10, he's been in this is his third year, as well as Jay Davis would be another one. Ben Paku, I think, is his second year in the first 15. So, and I think because I've already tasted success even from last year, and they were able to get a lot of things done, and they were able to show out a bit. I think the boys know how to win, and I think it's more of a confidence thing. And so with Southland, it's also got to be that same, um, I guess that same dominant confidence that they've had over Kings for years now. That um, Zion Taylor, Aaron Withy, guys like that, Josh Morrell, who's one of the better halfbacks in the country, with Kaya Bolich, who's there as well. All those guys have I think have to show their experience and show how dominant they've been, and then they have to sort of put that out on the field on Tuesday next week. And they've got all this week to, this whole week to prepare, because I don't think they have a game on Saturday for both of those teams, and I think they're really looking forward to preparing for that one. And so that would be cool that we get to see that from those two teams down south, and especially from Kings High School, who's a top 10 team this year, who I think is a top 10 team, so everyone else gets to see it as well. I've seen one full game of theirs, and then I've seen a lot of snippets from the other games that they've had. And so it'll be cool to really watch them on obviously a professionally done, studio setup as well. St. Peter's Gisborne was a lot closer than I thought. That 21-10, I kind of thought St. Peter's will put a lot more on them. I guess that's just kind of how things turn out. That's a long trip. Cool traditional. I like those traditionals though. And I like that Sacred Heart Tauranga one that they have, and the Carlson Boys one that they're having right now against Tauranga. I like these cross games between 1A and Super 8. Even if it is preseason, I still like those kind of games. I still like that they get to mix it up and play each other. That's why I like that Kia 2 tournament that they put on at St. Paul's, is because, one year I got to watch De La Salle play Christchurch Boys, which is not something that you see every year. Like, they would have to make the top 4 or something like that to even play each other, or have like that connection to play each other. And so I love that teams get to cross into other guys' competitions and be able to play teams that you would never really play them, on a normal season or a normal year. The Calcin game was really, really good, and like I wrote, Flynn going off was really important for that team to stay in touch. And that battle between Flynn, Henderson, and Sam Howling was just so good. And I really like Sam's leadership. I like that, the way that he acts on the field. Like, there was a time where he got pushed over. They got a penalty, and then you kind of kick away the ball and all that kind of stuff. And then he got pushed over as he was trying to get the ball, and then his teammates rushed in to help him, sort of back him up, which is something that you do anyway, that you kind of should do. And Sam just didn't care, and he just went and still carried on and went to go and do a quick tap and kick kind of situation. And then all the boys kind of just dropped back when they saw him drop back. And that to me is like a great captain, because he just doesn't care about all that stuff. He just wants to play the game. He wants to win the game, and that's the first priority, and then sort of nothing else gets in front of that. So I like that kind of stuff from guys like Sam and captains that have that kind of attitude. I thought it was so bad, like especially the end of that Christchurch Boys game, that the supporters ran on the field. I don't mind the supporters running on the field. I don't care about that at all. I just care that they ran to the other supporters. I think Christchurch was more of the one that sort of instigated it in a way, because they were down in their 22, and Christchurch Boys 22, and all their players were right there in front of them. They just ran past their players and then ran to the supporters of Christ, while those supporters were running on to, cheer on their own boys. And that's what I didn't like about it. And then the players from both teams had to sort of push each other, push and make a divide for them, which was cool. And I kind of thought that was a bit of a damper on the game itself, which was so mean to watch. But yeah, that was a game that Christ needed to win. Now that they're 5-0, and Christchurch boys, because they have to play. Christchurch boys have to play Shirley, and it's gonna be 3 in a row, a losing streak of 3 in a row if they lose this one. And it comes at the worst time because Shirley's playing some really good rugby. Shirley had a really good game against St. Bede's. Shirley kind of got away with it against Rangiora, but I think with the situation that Christchurch boys is in right now, I don't think that they won't want to play a really good team, and Shirley's a really good team. Like Shirley is really running well right now, and so that is just not the team that you want to come up against, especially after a 2 losing streak, 2 on TV losing streak. And they needed some ball runners. I thought Christchurch boys needed some ball runners. I didn't understand why Junior Fafita was on the bench. Louis Herbert's a kid that I know who's a ball runner and goes to Christchurch boys, and I think he should have been there as a prop. Even when I saw him at under 15s, like I knew he was under 15s captain for Nationals one time, and I looked at him and I thought, well, you're playing number 8 now, but I think once you get to first 15 in club rugby, they'll probably move you into prop, and I think they should have had him in there as well, either starting or coming off the bench, because Sam Jones is playing really well, as well as the hooker. Man, what's his name? Man, I'm forgetting names hard out right now. And like they're all playing good. So like I don't think that you would have to sort of take them off, but it's more about I thought anyway. It was more about having Charlie Baker shoot. It was more about having guys back them up and have just solid runners, because Sam Jones to me he's a really good runner, and Charlie Baker does a lot of groundwork as well and cleaning out. But then if you had Junior Fafita and you had someone like Louis Herbert, it would just add a bit more, I guess, go forward options one after the next. Because Jamie's always going to do what Jamie does. As one of the best players in the country, he's always going to make up. He's always going to make some kind of opportunity happen, with the way that he plays rugby. And like you saw, like he can run through tackles, he can drive through guys that are hanging on to him. He can give offloads, he can draw and pass, and so that's fine. Like you want guys like that. But I still thought that you needed some big boy runners added on to that, added as another threat. And because I think that because all the boys in Christchurch pretty much know each other from reps and they know who all the guys are that are hard to tackle, I think Christ players would have had that in their mind that Louis would have been on that side or Junior would have been in there. And they know that those guys are harder to tackle, so they would have committed more seeing that threat. Even without them having the ball, if they saw Louis standing there, if they saw Junior standing there, and they had Jamie standing there, they would look at them and go, we know this guy's too good and we can't just take him one-on-one. We have to double up on these tackles and really suffocate them and pinpoint these guys when they go and when they push up on defense. And James White was another one that I think that they really missed on Saturday. They could not even find touch, which was strange. It was strange. They missed was it like 3 or 4 that they missed? They couldn't even get the ball out. And I think it was lucky that they had Jax Sanford and Will Brownie. And Bailey, I thought Bailey Moody played really good too. I thought he was he was really good on that game, and I think I think that they have the players. Like, I'm not trying to put down Christchurch boys, but I think they have the players. I kind of question: is it a players thing or is it just an adjustment thing? Is it just the way the roster is done? Is it the way? Is it what combinations are the? Are the coaches still figuring it out? Because they still have to figure it out too. A new coaching staff like that, they still have to figure it out. It's not. It's not just an easy thing just to jump in a team and go you, and you. So like maybe it's that. Maybe they're still going through that kind of situation now and still trying some things because they haven't quite figured it out right now. And Christchurch boys will have St. Bede's this week coming up, which is going to be a hard one again. I think if Christ get through this game and they go unbeaten, I kind of find it hard to see them losing. Even with Stack and Nelson, yeah, I don't know. I think they're on a roll right now. Because Fletcher's playing so well. Guy and Liam Guy played really good. I really like Chaffee the way that he played. Liam Pratt was really good. 50 Sars good, and like 50 Sars as well is a young year 13, and I'm not too sure what his plans are, but he could also come back. Nick Shearer was really good, and only going to get better. And I was looking at because Liam Ellison from Bede's, Nick Shearer from Christ's, James White, all these guys are year 12, year 13s, and could all come back next year. And those three are really, really good first fives. And it'll be cool to see them back again, at it again, just making Oh, sorry, and then you have Jack over at Stack, who's probably the best out of all of them. Sorry about that, Jack. Like, just having 4 quality first fives, all of the same age, all in one competition, will be mean to watch next year. It'll be such a good competition next year if they all seem to come back, which they should. I think so anyway. I really like Johnny Lee, the lock, which I don't think he's kind of a lock. I actually think he's more of a blindside for some reason. Just watching him, I just thought he was more of a blindside than he is a lock. And maybe he's only just there because he's just young. But, yeah, I don't know. I thought he put in a lot of work, and it just looked more like he was looked like more of a blindside than anything else. Maybe if it comes, maybe it comes after. Maybe, I don't know. But yes. We talked about all those ones. Still thinking about Westlake boys coming up into that top 25. They're just doing so good and so dominant. Rosmini is also doing really well. Just had that one loss to Westlake boys. Messi and Manudeo as well. Mahurangi's playing this week, and that will be a pretty cool game to watch on TV. Te Aomori College had a good win over Papamoa on Saturday. Who was that? Timaru have had some bad luck, eh? Like Timaru down there, they've got some injuries, and it's just really taken away from them. They have a young team as well, and a lot of those guys are going to be back next year. But injuries just never help, especially in such a small season like this. You don't really have the time to recover and recoup and then get back into the thing. So it's going to be hard for those for that team, and hopefully the bit more better luck comes to them. that Lincoln combine, mid Canterbury combine, I want to actually see that game and see how it went. And 15-8 is a really close score, and I know it's not like a big game that everyone cares about, but I would really want to watch a game like that. Dunstan did great, getting into that top tier with their win over Mount Aspiring, which was a close game, 25-21. Even though Wakatupu won against South Otago was a really close one, 2019. Waitaki Boys, I don't know I don't know. St. Kevin's doing really good though, 59-17. And so, it's great for them. And then on the Sunday game, they had Fielding and Napier Boys. Fielding won like I thought they were going to win, and in a close game as well. So 29-23 to Fielding. And both teams are looking dangerous coming into this season. And Napier played Gisborne Boys, and Fielding play St. John's Hastings this week. Which I picked both of them to win. Fielding, I think, will win that one. But the Gisborne Napier, and it's going to be in Napier as well, that's going to be a pretty close one. And so that'll be one that I'll kind of watch out for. But yeah, like all the rankings and, all the players moving around as well. The year 11 rankings are going to change tomorrow. And so late Wednesday night, I'll have that ranking out and for the year 11s. And you can even send, you can send guys' names and make a case, or like, if I got year 12, like, because there's guys that I saw that were in under 15s last year that I was told were year 10s, but they ended up being year 11. So if they're young year 12s in that year 11 list, just let me know so I can take them out and then adjust them accordingly. But there are some kids that I like. Jairus is another one from King's College who I really like. And he was like a more of a open side. He's a loose forward, and I like him at open side. He's a year 11 that I really like. Guys like that. Who are the other guys that I was thinking of? Because I was talking about it before. Francis still is Manu Leleua. Manu Leleua is Francis Manu Leleua is the King's College #1 player who's year 11. And I'm still thinking about moving him up into the top 200 as well. Yeah, he's just so good. Like, he's just such a good player. And he's such an important player to that King side as well at second five. And I think he changes a whole lot for that team, there's just something about him. I think Siosi is the other one. Lilia Fano is another one that I really liked as well. And Cody Nana is another one. Max is playing really well. Aki Tui Vailala from Hamilton Boys, who's on the wing and playing centre sometimes as well. He's been playing really good. Ty Cribb, who I thought was year 11, turns out to be a year 12, and so I'll move him out. And he was a top 10 player there. Him and Joel Hazelton, who I heard were actually year 12s, and so I'll move them out, and then they might make the year 12 top 100, but they might not, and so that's always the case as well. Gus Brown has been playing really good. I saw Jacob Mitchell still playing really well. I saw Ben Phelps. He was playing really good. I saw him for Gisborne. Who are some other ones that I saw? Obviously, Cullen Gray, Mariki Olmua from Palmy. Those two have been playing really well. Victor's had a really good run with Hastings boys. He's another one. Isaac Hitchinson. I thought he was year 11. Someone told me he was year 12, but hit me up and let me know. I just want to make sure they're right. And I get it right. Conrad is the other player that I really like. Conrad Newland. Ricky Rubin's been playing really good. I heard Kobe Deacon jumped in at half back for a little bit in that St. Pat's Town game. Carlos Hihi's been playing good. Sam Foster, who just played against Christ College for Christchurch boys. Someone let me know, is he year 12 or year 11? I thought he was year 11. I got told by one of the boys he was year 11. But yeah, those were the other ones that I was looking at, and so there's not going to be a lot of change. There's going to be some movement. There's going to be some movements from players that I have seen, and reports back from coaches and stuff like that, and some of those rep guys that are out there watching games, and that's some of the guys that I've been seeing, and that I'm really impressed with how they've been playing. I think reps are going to be coming up soon. I saw the under 18s Blues came together for a training like combine run. Someone sent me that list too. Someone sent me that list of all the players that were a part of that. I saw a bunch of faces that I knew just watching like the little clip that they had. But yeah, it'd be cool to get the names and getting some of these guys that are in there as well. Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty busy week in terms of rugby. I still don't know what games I'm gonna go to, because I wanted to watch St. Paul's and St. John's, Hamilton here, and that's at St. Paul's. But Wesley is playing Francis Douglas, which I think would be a pretty cool game to go and see. And then up in Auckland they have Auckland Grammar St. Kitts, which is going to be a hard one for St. Kitts, and they've got to be careful because they I think they just got to suss out their back line. It's just too young. To me, it's just too young. I know Tasses has got an idea of what he wants and how to execute it, and all that kind of stuff, and that's cool. And I just think, and these are just my thoughts, that I just think that they're maybe a bit too young. Someone that like Fihi is probably gonna, I would just give him the ball all day, to be honest, and just make them make the decisions defensively of how to do it. They'll probably have to put Taramo or someone, or Will, out there in that back line to even it out and to help on that defensive thing. And so, and someone's got to get across there really quickly off set plays, off scrums and stuff like that, or else you'll have someone like Fihi just rip up because he's playing so well right now. They had the Sacred Heart and St. Peter's also play. That was another game that I was thinking of. Who was it? The Mags, I think, is the other game that I was thinking about going to see. Kelston Mags one, where Mags have the perfect opportunity right now to trip him up. And yeah, so I was thinking about going up there, because the other one I wanted to watch was Massey and Rosmini at home. And if I was there, that's the way that I plan out my stuff, is that if that was the case and I went to Massey, then I'd go to Massey and then just move down the road to Kelston Boys and watch that game. And so I kind of that's kind of how I plan my games out, and then maybe come go up there a bit early and then maybe catch an under 15 game, something like that, which would be cool to watch. But yeah, I still haven't decided what I want to do, um, and which games I think will be really good. There's just so many good games. I was also thinking about driving down to New Plymouth to watch Hamilton Boys and New Plymouth play down there. And because I've got a nephew that plays for Inglewood High School, but they play Opunake as well, Opunake High School, and so I don't know how far the distance in terms of time with to get there. And so that was like another game that I was thinking of going down to as well. Go and watch Opunake Inglewood High School, and then go to New Plymouth Boys and Hamilton Boys. So like those are kind of my four options right now, and I'll make up my mind soon. Maybe I'll ask my two little assistants and get them to choose by colour, because that's how they judge games. Whenever we go to games, it's like, who do you think is going to win? And they just go, I like that blue team. That's the expertise. But yeah, there's some good games. There are some good games around, like the Te and Papamoa college game. That'll be a pretty good game. But I'll run through all these on Friday, because there are a lot of good games. There are a lot of good games that I want to talk about as well. And I'll give my predictions for these games as well on week 6. I think for a lot of you out there that are waiting for the NBA, like myself, I'm waiting for the NBA. I'm waiting for the NFL. NFL will be going into OTAs soon, and they're just arguing about what's going on. But if those that watch the NFL and they know about Hard Knocks is where they go into preseason into a team, and so they're going into LA, and so they'll be seeing my Chargers be a part of Hard Knocks with the Rams, and those the NFL always good. They always bring out some cool programs and documentaries and player profiles and stuff like that. So that'll be a cool one to watch. And then the NBA as well is the other one that I'm paying attention to. Waiting for that to start up, and seeing what's happening there, because everyone tested all good for coronavirus. No one was tested and all that kind of stuff. And I agree with Stephen Adams. When he was saying that it's not a big deal to stay in there. It's not a big deal in terms of it's not like it's uncomfortable. But I think guys with, you can hear the wind and stuff scratching your arm. I think guys with kids and wives, they're the ones that are going to be the ones that suffer, because they won't be able to see their kids, which I understand perfectly about. Not wanting to be too far away from your kids and not be able to see them. Give them cuddles and put them to sleep, all that kind of stuff, and so that would be like a real hard one as well on the players. But in terms of comfort, I don't think there'd be anything to complain about. If you're complaining about the comfort, it's just like, well, then you're a bit too entitled, to be honest. They're at a resort. It's like, what uncomfortable resort is there that's going to be built up by Disney and, be uncomfortable, things like that. It's like, yeah, okay. But what was the other stuff that was? That Pacific Island team, I think, is pretty interesting as well. And for the, the Super Rugby franchise. And to me, that just opens it out for more players, more New Zealander players who, New Zealanders or Samoans, Tongans, Fijian New Zealanders, and just another team for us to get in there. And I was reading an article, and I've been hearing stuff as well. I've being part of this rugby circle thing. I hear a lot of stuff and rumors and mumblings about stuff, and how Australia feel like they're not valued, which is false. And I understand it too. Sometimes we look down on Australian rugby because, well, the Wallabies aren't doing that great, or they're not what we're used to. If you were like me growing up watching Smith, Gregan, Finnegan, Larkham, Latham, Horan, John Eales, guys like that. Like, that's the Wallabies that I'm kind of used to. And then after that, getting guys like Gito and that, like, those are the kind of Wallabies I'm used to. So for us who look at the Wallabies like that, I think we have a different idea of what the Wallabies are, and then we can now say, yeah, they're pretty useless. Because we have that idea of those Wallabies where we were always worried about George Cregan and Chris Latham and Larkham and that. We were always worried about how good they were. Harrison, Matt Dunning and like those kind of guys, and even when Stephen Moore, and that's why I feel sorry for someone like Stephen Moore, who to me should have been in that era, because to me I like Stephen Moore a lot, and I thought he should have been in that. Like, he fitted more in that era. But yeah, I just see the Wallabies a bit different now, and just not as good, because I saw just the legendary Wallabies when they were hard, and when we were battling to actually really beat them. But yeah, I don't think they're useless. I think if we did a Super Rugby, it would be good with those guys, and a Pacific Islands team, or some. I mean, you have to agree with having the Japanese teams there, not just because they are the money, or that the money comes through that, but also that the Japanese sides are not bad anymore. I don't find them as bad. I feel like they've done the best that they could, trying to get their local players to learn and grow off the imported players, and then they're just getting better products from their own people now, because they have that advantage of I guess having all these guys come in from New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, and then going in there and then sort of helping out their teammates, and giving them different things, and then getting coaches from all over the world to come in, and then it's just made them better. So to me, like, if there ended up being something like 3 Japanese teams of the best Japanese players, and then a mixture of New Zealand, South African, and Australian, like, to me, I'm all for that. Like, I don't mind that at all. I give a lot of respect to the way that they're doing it, and that they're still coming up. And you've got to admit that they have really jumped a lot in terms of development of their players and the talent that they're bringing out of that country as well. But yeah, so what are the other ones? I think I'll watch UFC this weekend. I'll watch that one. I watched some of the fights last weekend. Of course, Mazadov, Kuzma. So I'll watch all that kind of stuff. I'll probably watch it this weekend as well. What other sporting stuff is on? I've been watching the basketball some of the nights, the New Zealand one. And like, it's not disrespectful, because I like that thing, but I just like watching NBA and college basketball better, to be honest. I think if I was there watching it live, like going to the games, I'd probably enjoy it a lot more. But yeah, I don't know about watching it on TV. I watch the netball. I watch that quite a lot, and I watch my Magic, and we're doing okay. We should probably skipped out on a few games that we should have won. I try and get my daughters to watch it with me, but they're just too young and not keen. But we're trying to go to a Magic game as well. I want to try and get one of those Magic girls in here for, do a podcast with one of those Magic girls. So I'll just start sending some messages around, and yeah. I do have this little setup where I have 4 different mics, and I've got my own little sound mixer thing, and I fluked it before on how to get it work, and then I just put it together again, and then something's not working, and now I've got to watch some YouTube videos to figure that stuff out and see how it works. But yeah, any questions you want to send me, anything that you want me to talk about, or anything that you want to get my ideas, like my idea of something or my opinion on something, just send me a message, let me know, and then I'll talk about it. I'll give you answers. I'm always really honest with my answers, and I try and stay positive because I know that I'm talking to kids and talking about kids, and so I only give you the real positive things, all the positive stuff that I see in the game, and I don't write negative things or to say negative things about kids because um, for one the kids, which is obvious. The second is that giving them negative stuff or talking about them in a bad way is not going to do anything positive for them, and it's not going to be an uplifting thing for them at all. And um, I want to be respectful of the kids as well, and the sacrifices that they put into it. I wish I was, and like I always look back at it when I was at school. I was so useless. I made um, like I've said before, I made Northern Regions, just the trials for Northern Regions, which is uh, from Rotorua all the way up, pretty much from Taupo. From Taupo all the way up to Kaitaia, that was the regional team, and so they chose two teams from everyone from that region. So it was so hard, even just to get a trial. I trialed twice and didn't make it, and then that was obviously because I was just so lazy and useless that I just didn't take the opportunity. And looking back at it now, and because I talk to so many kids and see how dedicated they are and how there's the resilience that they have, and um, how positive they are, and setting their goals and then trying to achieve it. I wasn't even close to what a lot of these kids have, so it's hard. So I can't talk about these kids and what they should and shouldn't be doing in terms of preparation because I was terrible at that, and I really did waste those opportunities that I should have had. And I trialed. First year that I was there, I was with. I was the biggest one there. There was me and Soane Toko Tokuio, I think his last name was, but he used to go to St. Peter's. He was about 6'5", and he played professional for years, and he went over. I don't know if he played for the Blues, but he went over. I think he used to play for Northampton. I think he might be at like Toulon, or he finished at Toulon, or Racing, or somewhere like that. But he was a professional for years, and he was so good, and he was so big. And me and him were the same size. He was just more, I guess, committed to it. He was just more committed. But we were the same size. We were huge. And there was me, him, John R4 was another one, Nick Williams, who was another one. Jerome Kiner was there, Joe Rokakoko was there, Anthony Kunwayu was there, Luke McAllister was there, and I remember Luke was young. Liam Messam was there, not on my first time, but on my second time that I was there, and he went there and he was young. Ben Atinga was there, and we heard about Ben Atinga, and he was just the man. Like, he was so good. And he was there twice, the 2 years that I went, and he made New Zealand secondary school 3 years in a row, I think it was. And I remember the story, and I remember on my first year, either my first or second year, and I'm sure it was Jerome Kino. And so what happens, because they used to have it over here at Church College where I went to school, and they had all the dormitories and the cafeteria and stuff like that, and they used to hold it there at Church College. And because I lived, just outside of the school, as a day student, I used to, walking up to Church College, up to my school, was no big deal at all. I used to do it all the time. And then everyone cleared out of the dorms. Everyone left that we had the games in the morning, and then by 1 o'clock, 2 or 1 o'clock, something like that, obviously everyone's parents came to watch, and so they all just went back. And then I left something in the dorms, and so I just drove up to go up and go and get it, because I went into the dorms all the time. And I went up there and I saw two fellas sitting outside, and I'm sure it was Nick Williams and Jerome Kino who were sitting out the front. And I looked at them, I was like, yo, what are you guys up to? And then they was like, oh, we missed our bus. I was like, what do you mean you missed your bus? And they go, yeah, we missed the van to go to the bus, and so everyone's gone, and we don't know how to. I was like, oh, what? And I was like thinking, well, how are these boys going to. And I was like, you go fellas from Auckland? Like, yeah, we're from Auckland. I was like, oh. I hold up then, and so I went home and talked to my dad, and then I went and picked them up, and I said I'll drive them back to Auckland, and they go, oh no, just drop us off at the bus, and we'll just catch a bus up there. And they were adamant that they just wanted to catch a bus. And I was like, oh, sweet as. And I remember just dropping them there, and they were like, and they looked really worried, and that's why I go, bro, you guys sure you don't want to be dropped home? Like, no, we're sweet, we'll just catch the bus back up to Auckland. I'm like, oh, all right then. And I remember them sitting there, and like, remember, like, you didn't have cell phones. There was no cell phones then, and you pretty much had to remember everybody's numbers. And going from Auckland to Hamilton back in those times wasn't an hour trip or hour and a half. It was almost 2 hours. The roads were just so bad and traffic was so bad. But it was funny that I'm sure it was those two. I'm sure it was Jerome Kaino and Matt Williams. And Matt Williams was so big. He was 6'5". Even right now, he's still huge. He was like 6'4", 6'5", and he was a number 8. And he was just so fast. And I remember when we were doing like sprints and stuff, and he was beating, he was beating backs and stuff, and he was just so huge. Because when I went for Northern Regions the first time, I was in the A and B teams, because they choose two. They obviously just choose A's team and a B's team, and I was in the A and B lot. And then in the second years, I was in the B lot, and then in the second years, I was in the A lot, and still missed out on the team. Still missed out on the B team. So terrible. Just so useless. But then, there's a bunch of guys I remember there. Ray Tuavaiti was one of the best players there from Calson Boys, and he was such a good player as well. Even guys like Toby Lynn, who was from St. Paul's Collegiate, David Johnson was there, Nate from Hamilton Boys. They had the two twins from Hamilton Boys that were from Raglan, the two Māori fellows that were there. I think they play for Otohanga now. One passed away, was just sad. But they used to play there, and they were all there as well. But I remember, I just remember that was one of the stories. But it was just crack up just seeing now how many of them made it through. And there wasn't a lot of them that made it through, but there were a lot of superstars when I was in high school anyway. But I think that's kind of like why I sort of do this now, is so that some of these boys from smaller schools don't feel like they are that far removed from who the top players are, because some guys from smaller schools that don't think they can compete. They really can. They really can compete. They just need to be believed in, and that's what I'm here for, is that I'm the one that goes out and tries to find those players and then show them that I believe in them, and that I believe that they're not that far away from anybody else who's there playing for bigger schools or bigger rugby programs. You can still get there and get it done, and just put in that hard work, dedication, and everything be all good. Anyways, I better sign off now. But I'll be back on Friday. Will be the next podcast. I'll give my predictions, talk about some more stuff, maybe talk about some NBA. Send me some questions, anything you want to know, find out, whatever. This is Herschel, High School Top 200. Peace.